Welcome to Radiant Aging, where growing older means growing stronger, healthier, and happier every day. Have you ever sat quietly in your home and suddenly felt that heavy silence? The kind that reminds you someone's missing. Maybe it's a sound you used to hear every day. Footsteps in the kitchen, the rustle of a newspaper, or just a familiar voice saying, "Coffee's ready." When your spouse passes away first, life doesn't just slow down. It feels like it changes shape completely. It's not just about grief. It's about the empty space left behind and how to keep going when your heart feels unsure of the next step. If you're watching this right now, I want you to know something very important. You're not alone. So many people in their 60s and beyond are facing this exact moment. And while no one can fully prepare for the pain of losing a partner, there are things you can do, powerful, healing things, to help yourself not just survive, but truly live again. In this video, we're going to gently walk through 6 of the most important steps you can take if your spouse dies before you. These aren't cold financial checklists or complicated legal terms. This is about real life, your life. It's about your well-being, emotionally, physically, and even spiritually. Let's begin with something that often gets overlooked in the early days of grief. Allowing yourself to feel everything. It's easy to fall into the habit of being the strong one. Maybe you've always been the rock in the family, the one who comforts others, who gets things done. But when your spouse dies, something inside you deserves permission to fall apart a little. You might feel waves of sadness, anger, confusion, even guilt. Or maybe you feel numb, like you're watching your own life from outside your body. All of that is okay. There's no right way to grieve, and there's no timeline either. If someone tells you to move on or stay busy so you don't think too much, they might mean well, but they're not inside your heart. You are, and you have every right to feel what you feel when you feel it. Cry if you need to. Sit in silence. Talk out loud to your spouse, even if they're no longer here physically. It might feel strange at first, but sometimes just speaking their name or saying what you wish you could tell them can be incredibly comforting. You don't have to pretend everything's fine. Grief is a reflection of love. And love doesn't stop just because someone is gone. And while you allow yourself that space to feel, the next step becomes incredibly important. Ask for help and accept it when it comes. This might be hard, especially if you're used to doing things on your own. But grief is heavy, and no one should have to carry it alone. Maybe it's your adult children checking in. Maybe it's a neighbor offering to bring by a meal. Maybe it's a friend saying, "Hey, come with me to this support group I've been going to." Don't turn it down out of pride or because you think you're a burden. You are not a burden. You are a human being going through one of life's hardest moments, and you deserve support. Even something as simple as letting someone sit with you in silence can make a world of difference. It doesn't have to be a long talk or a big emotional breakthrough. Just knowing someone is there, that can be a lifeline. You may even want to talk to a grief counselor, not because something is wrong with you, but because grief changes the way we see the world. A counselor can be like a guide in the fog, helping you find your way when nothing feels clear. At the same time, you might notice your daily routines have been completely thrown off. Meals feel lonely. The house feels too quiet. The rhythm of your day doesn't make sense anymore. That's why the next step is to slowly, gently rebuild a sense of daily structure, not a schedule filled with errands and noise. This isn't about staying busy just to escape. It's about giving your body and your mind something steady to hold on to. Maybe it starts with something simple, like having your morning tea by the window. Maybe you take a short walk at the same time each day. Small, comforting rituals. You don't have to fill your calendar. You just have to give yourself a little rhythm again. Over time, those gentle habits become anchors. They remind you that even though one chapter of your life has ended, you are still here. And you still have the power to create meaning, even in the middle of the pain. Now that we've talked about giving yourself space to grieve, opening up to support, and beginning to create daily structure, let's keep going. Let's keep going, because As you begin to adjust to the emotional shifts and the daily quiet, there's another part of life that becomes very real very quickly: understanding your finances. Now, this is where a lot of people start to feel overwhelmed. Maybe your spouse handled the bills, the accounts, the insurance, the taxes. Or maybe you did, and now everything still feels foggy because your brain and heart are trying to process 100 different things all at once. That's completely normal. But here's what matters. You don't need to figure everything out today. You just need to take one small step at a time. Start by gathering important documents. Things like your spouse's will, any life insurance policies, bank account information, social security documents, pension details, anything that might help paint the full financial picture. Even if you don't understand all of it right now, that's okay. Just get it all in one place. A folder, a box, a drawer, somewhere safe and easy to access. Then talk to someone you trust. It could be a financial advisor, a family member who's good with numbers, or even a local senior center that offers free financial guidance. You're not looking for someone to tell you what to do. You're looking for clarity. What do you have? What's coming in? What needs to be paid? Once you have those answers, you'll begin to feel just a little more grounded. And in a time when everything feels upside down, even one clear thing can make a difference. You may also need to update your own legal documents, power of attorney, healthcare directives, your own will. These things matter. Not because you're trying to think morbidly, but because you've just been reminded in the most painful way how fragile life can be. Taking care of your affairs now isn't just responsible. It's a gift to yourself and your loved ones. It frees you up to live with more peace of mind. Speaking of peace, there's something else many people quietly wrestle with after losing their spouse. Figuring out who they are now. For years, maybe even decades, your identity was intertwined with your partner. You were us, we, our plans, our home, and now it's just you. That shift can feel disorienting. You might find yourself asking, who am I without them, or what does life look like now? The answer isn't something you need to rush. But slowly, gently, you can begin to rediscover yourself. Not as the person you used to be and not as half a couple, but as the whole, valuable person you are today. Maybe there are hobbies you set aside years ago that you'd like to return to. Maybe there's a place you've always wanted to visit. Maybe there's a class or a group you've thought about joining, but never had the time. You might even find that you're interested in things your spouse never cared about. And that's okay too. This time of your life doesn't have to be about filling the silence. It can be about exploring new sides of yourself at your own pace, on your own terms. It's not selfish. It's not dishonoring their memory. It's part of healing. One woman I spoke to once told me that after her husband passed, she felt lost for almost a year. Then one day, she took herself to the art museum alone. She hadn't been in years. And as she walked through those quiet halls, something in her stirred. She remembered how much she loved color and light, and the stories behind each painting. It didn't bring her husband back, but it brought part of herself back. That's what this step is about, rediscovery, not replacement. As you begin to slowly reconnect with yourself, you might also start to think more about your social circle. That's where the next step comes in, rebuilding connection. Because the truth is, losing a spouse doesn't just change your day-to-day routine. It can also shift your entire social life. Couples you use to spend time with might not know what to say anymore. You may not get as many invitations. Or you might simply not feel up to seeing people right away. That's understandable. But as time moves forward, reaching out becomes more important than ever. Start small. Call a friend for coffee. Visit a community center. Join a book club or walking group. You don't have to put yourself out there in a big way. You just have to start saying yes to little moments of connection. Loneliness is one of the biggest challenges people face after losing a spouse. But it doesn't have to be your story forever. There are people who would love to know you, laugh with you, support you, even now. It's never too late to form new friendships or deepen old ones. You are still worthy of companionship. And sometimes Those simple conversations, those shared smiles, become the very thing that carries you through the hardest days. Let's keep going, because there's one more step that might surprise you. There's one more step that often goes unnoticed, but might be the most transformative of all: finding a new sense of purpose. After such a deep loss, it's easy to feel like the best chapters of your story are behind you. You may wonder, what am I even here for now? That kind of question is heavy, but it's also a doorway to something beautiful. Because even though your partner is no longer here in the way they once were, you are still here. You still have time, breath, presence. And that means you still have purpose. Now, purpose doesn't have to mean something huge like starting a charity or writing a book. It can be something as simple and powerful as being a source of comfort to a friend who's also grieving, or showing up for your grandchildren in a way that leaves a lasting imprint. Maybe you volunteer an hour a week at your local library, or you start journaling your life story to pass on to your family. These things matter. They give shape to your days, meaning to your mornings, and hope to your heart. Sometimes, the greatest healing happens when we shift our focus from what we've lost to what we still have to give. You'd be amazed how comforting it is to lift someone else up, even while you're still mending. It doesn't mean you're done grieving. It just means your love has found a new direction to flow. I once met a man who lost his wife after 47 years together. For months, he barely left the house. But eventually, he began walking dogs at the animal shelter twice a week. It wasn't something he ever did before. He just wanted to feel useful again. Over time, those little wagging tails and quiet walks gave him a rhythm, a reason to move forward. And in his own words, they rescued me more than I rescued them. That's the thing about purpose. It doesn't just fill your calendar. It fills your heart. And while we're talking about healing, there's something else that deserves your attention: your physical health. In times of grief, it's common to neglect your own well-being. Meals get skipped. Sleep becomes irregular. Exercise feels like too much effort. But your body is carrying you through a storm right now, and it needs care, maybe more than ever. Start gently. A walk around the block. A few more glasses of water. A proper meal, even if it's simple. Taking care of your body is not just about staying fit. It's about telling yourself, I still matter. My health still matters. And if you're struggling to sleep, or if your sadness feels too heavy to carry alone, don't hesitate to reach out for support. Whether it's a grief counselor, a doctor, or even support group, you're not weak for needing help. You're wise for seeking it. Talking to someone can lift a weight you didn't even realize you were holding. It doesn't fix everything, but it helps. And in this new chapter of life, every little bit of help counts. Another thing I want to remind you of is this: it's okay to feel joy again. Sometimes, after loss, we feel guilty for laughing, for enjoying a sunny day, or for smiling at a silly joke, as if joy somehow disrespects a memory of the one we loved. But joy is not betrayal. It's survival. It's a way of honoring life, of honoring your life. Your spouse will want you to keep living, not just existing, to find light again, even if the path there is slow and winding. You don't have to force happiness, but when it shows up in little moments, let yourself feel it. You deserve that. And finally, know this: you are not alone. So many others have walked this road. Some are just a few steps ahead. Others are walking beside you right now, even if you don't see them. The grief, the confusion, the quiet, it can all feel incredibly isolating. But if you reach out even a little, you'll find hands waiting to meet yours, hearts willing to listen, people who understand. Loss changes us. It opens cracks in our world we didn't know existed. But sometimes, through those very cracks, new light shines in. Not the same light you once had, but still warm, still life-giving. You are still here, and that means something. If this message speaks to you today, I want to thank you for spending your time here. I hope it brought you a little comfort, a little strength, and maybe a little hope. If you'd like to share your thoughts or your story, please feel welcome to do so in the comments. This is a space for community, a space for healing. And if you think someone else could use this message, don't hesitate to share it with them. You never know who needs to hear that they're not alone. And if you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel. We talk about everything that matters after 60, health, happiness, independence, and navigating the ups and downs of this chapter of life with strength and grace. Here's to living with purpose, to healing at your own pace, and to remembering that no matter what life takes from us, there's still so much left to love, to give, and to live for. You've got this, and I'm so proud of you.